So anyway, I'll continue. Um, I was in a chat, political chat. The guy's not a bad guy. I mean, the only thing he and I disagree on is he seems to believe that the Warhammer community in general is crawling with fascists. There's just a fascist or a white supremacist hanging out in every game store. I've been in dozens of game stores and tournaments in this area over the years. I live in the Southeast. I have yet to see any white supremacists, or if they were white supremacists, they didn't tell anyone. I have seen a guy who claimed to be a fascist, and he was like attacked and just reviled and just abused by everyone at the store to the point that, and I may have already said this, I felt bad for the guy. It's like, cut this guy a break. He's like 15. What's he know? Whatever. But, and again, you've got these guys hanging out wearing Mao shirts as if they're somehow, the moral, have any sort of moral standing to judge anyone else, whether they're fascists or not. And if you watch this and you're thinking, well, this guy's a fascist apologist, I don't care. So this vile human being who was obviously very masculine to the point that I have to say they, even though this person had a penis, has a kid and has a girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. And also claims to be Native American, even though if you ever see a picture of them, they're very white. So, and a Dianist Wiccan, which is a completely, okay, if you want to come at me and say all religions are made up, I'm going to say, yeah, okay, sure. Even though I am obviously Orthodox Christian. But I'm not going to argue with you about that. If you tell me, hey, your church was created, I'm going to say, of course it was, by God. God created it. Now, if I tell you Wiccan was created in the 60s, and I can go on Wikipedia right now, and I can list the people, places, and times it was created, then what are you going to say? Are you going to argue that the two things are the same? One is a religion that stretches back 6,000 years or so. If you start Christianity where you should start it, which is in the Old Testament with Genesis, or Abraham, actually is, because Genesis could be, is it 7 days or 7 billion years? I don't know. I'm not a priest. So in addition to being a Wiccan, which is like the weakest form of whatever, let's be honest, it's like if you're going to be a pagan, be a pagan. I could respect that, Except I guess you have to avoid all the human sacrifices and everything like that. That goes with a lot of pagan beliefs. But this particular scumbag is a worshiper of Diana, So she's worshiping a feminine god, even though it makes me wonder, right? If Diana were real, assuming the goddess Diana, Artemis, whichever you want to go with, if she were real and a deity, and she only liked women, would she accept a trans person that still has a penis, even if they didn't have a penis? And I'm not saying this to be like hateful. This is kind of a conversation, Would a feminine goddess devoted to female whatever? I guess basically what I'm saying is I think Diana would be a TERF, huh? Probably. But they're not really. They're nothing. They hang out and, throw rocks and stand skyclad. I know about Wiccanism. I was Wiccan for about 15 minutes, but it was only because this hot chick was Wiccan, and I saw that. It's when I was very young before I found religion. And I kind of found that as a quick way to get laid. And that's a terrible thing, maybe. But it is what it is. That was my justification. She was smoking hot, witchy chick, and into all that. And I completely chameleoned myself and started agreeing with her lunacy. And it was lunacy because she was throwing some, man, oh man, she was pretty good. And I was young and stupid. And I was getting all that action, and I was loving every minute of it. And if I had to almost practically at that point damn my own eternal soul, then that's what I was doing, because I was more in the world back then. As far as I was a lot more concerned with gratification of the body, and not quite so much thinking about maybe it was because you get older. I mean, I'm 47. You get a little older, and maybe you start thinking, what if when you die, there is a hell? And if that is true, what if there's a way you can avoid it? And I'm not really, I know a lot of people, we can get into a huge debate. I'm sure there's probably 50 atheists out there that will argue everything to the planet. And I have a simple argument for all of that, and that is I don't believe you. And nothing you say will ever make me believe you. And nothing you say will ever make me reject Jesus Christ, to the point that I would die. I hope I never have to, but I would rather martyr myself than damn myself. And I don't think that's a weird way to be. I think it should be normal to be that way. So this person comes in, and they're trans, they claim. I mean, when they start talking, you couldn't tell. I thought it was weird because their Twitch handle was like lady something, but they get on the thing and they're as masculine sounding as I am, and they talk about the wife and kids and this and that, and how much they hate straight white men and how abused they are because they're Indian, except they have privilege because they look white, which is convenient. And of course, when she claimed her tribe, it was Cherokee, because most fake Indians claim Cherokee. And there are Cherokee people who will tell you that. Most fake Indians who are just trying to latch on, I guess they're trans natives. They always say Cherokee. I've never in my entire 47 years of knowing a lot of people and being all around, and my brother lived on a reservation in South Dakota, right? I have never met a single white person that said, I'm part Indian, I'm Apache. Or I'm part Comanche, or part Lakota, or Seminole, or Ojibwa. The one hot chick was half Ojibwa, actually, the gothy chick. But never. You run into these people, they're all from middle America somewhere, Virginia, Tennessee, wherever. Half of them, are from places where the Cherokee didn't even live. And you ask them, oh yeah, I'm part Native, I'm part Cherokee. That's just a little bit of rant there. It's like, isn't that cultural appropriation? I mean, if you're a white person claiming to be part Cherokee, I mean, show me some genetics, man. Go out there and get that Ancestry.com done. Show me all that. I mean, you're standing there with your blonde hair and your blue eyes talking about how Cherokee you are. Really? Quote one of my favorite memes. Really, Queen? No. And just the pure hatred coming out of this person. And that's all it was. Pure hatred. She hates Christy. I'll call her she. I mean, I don't give a shit. I'll call her Betty. She can call me out. She hated Christians right off the bat, but she hated all religions, but specifically Christians. I'm sure if I'd said, well, I'm Muslim, she probably would have been all like, well, okay, well, regardless of the fact that in Iran, a person like her would be chucked off a building. Let's be honest, that's what would happen in Iran. She would be thrown off a building, boom, on the bricks, no more whining. It would just be done. But in the United States, where Christianity is at least the majority currently, and I think for the foreseeable future, um, Christians tend to be very tolerant. There might be that one group of people somewhere in the middle of, they're like, oh, God hates this and God hates that. But your vast majority of Christians would never hurt any of these people. But these people seem to be convinced that they would. Not only would, but are plotting to at any minute. Just at any minute, Rocor is going to send out the secret message through the bishops, and then the next thing you know, a bunch of Orthodox Christians are going to be running down the street just attacking people, because no, this is not going to happen. This is a fantasy they tell themselves to make themselves feel special. Is really what it is. They want to feel special. They don't want to be like everyone else, and that's fine. I mean, they don't have to. I'm not here to force people to be away. I mean, I'm whatever, but it's just, you sit there and it's like, oh man, I try to like people. And that's not hard for me. Or not hard. That's not easy for me. I have my own problems. A lot of people do, I suffer PTSD. Secondary to a long and bitter freaking life of all kinds of shit going on. Primarily the fire service. When you show up at 3 a.m. to somebody's house and you see some of the stuff that you see, and then years later, and anyone who's a firefighter can attest to this. You remember it. You never forget it. There might be some who do. But these people get on here and they talk about how victimized they are, how attacked they are. Well, where? In the United States, where? Where is this happening? The last time I saw an attack on a gay couple, it was Black Lives Matter attacking 2 white gay conservatives who were walking out of a Trump rally. That's the last time I saw anything like this. I mean, all these supposed hate crimes that you always see on TV, they're all wrong. They're all lies. When has there been one that wasn't? I mean, can you name one? If you can, put it in. They're all lies. George Floyd died of a drug overdose and a heart attack, man. Breonna Taylor or whatever up in Kentucky, which is my home state, that chick was neck deep in the drug game. And her ex-boyfriend or whatever fired at the cops before they fired back. So what do you want? What are these cops supposed to do? And then the trans people, well, I should be able to use any bathroom I want without fear of being, and they always say this, raped. What kind of guys are running around raping trans women? Does this happen? And if it does happen, how often does it happen? How often is this going on? And should all of society be forced to change? Okay, make a 3rd bathroom if you want. Don't force businesses to. But make a 4th bathroom. If you're a business and you really care about, your trans customers, make another bathroom for trans customers. Because I'll tell you what, I don't care if you're wearing a dress and got your hair done nice or whatnot. I would not be happy with you being in the bathroom, with my 12-year-old daughter. And then you can be like, well, I'm technically a woman. Well, but you're married and have a kid. So apparently you have sex with women with your penis. Not to be graphic, but if you have a penis and you're sticking it in a woman, I really don't care how you dress or even self-identify. You're obviously attracted to women in that way. And no, you're not a lesbian. That's my opinion. And if people hate it, they're allowed to hate it. I mean, I really don't care. So I spent the last 30 minutes watching this guy belly crawl. It was the cringiest stuff I've ever seen. He just belly crawled, just submitted, capitulation, even when this person indirectly attacked him and then joked about, oh, it's not like I'll cancel you, even though I have, so many followers. He's just like, fucking embarrassing. Excuse my language. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing to sit there as a grown man and watch another man do that. Another man from the great state of freaking Texas just sit there and be made such an effeminate tool. And the guy is not that way. If you talk to this guy, he's semi-intelligent. He's got a good heart. He's not stupid. But to just watch him sit there and just surrender so completely. What do you do when some person who is a fringe of a group of people literally to your face tells you you are the cause of all evil? I mean, do you get down on your knees and kiss their feet? I mean, is that what we do? Of course, he's not a Christian, I don't believe. If you're a real Christian, he would have rejected that stuff out of hand. If you're a Muslim or actually a practicing Jew, he would have rejected that stuff out of hand. But he's he's a liberal, white leftist, and instead of rejecting it or standing up for himself, I mean, man, you don't have to stand up for your ancestors. You don't have to stand up for your people. You don't have to stand up for your tribe. It's not like that. Defend yourself. When someone tells you, white people are responsible for all of this, this, and this, it's okay to be like, yeah, but I didn't do it. I've never been mean to anyone. Right? I can't say that. I have been mean to people. I have a lot to regret. I've been very violent in my past when I was young, before, again, I wised up and settled down and started being a decent human being and not running the streets like a freaking maniac. I won't submit. They try to tell me, white men, and they say cis, but cis is an insult. Don't get a spin on that. When these people use the term cis to describe you, that's an insult. That's what it is. This is not me making things up. When they tell you the only way to have peace is you have to reject God, right? And this person blatantly said that. There can be no peace with her between me and this person. Not because I choose it to be that way. She chooses it to be that way. Right? Because my religious beliefs offend her. Regardless of the fact that this person's dancing around in the woods worshiping, a Greek or Roman god that would, like I said, reject them out of hand, she'd be ripped apart in a bacchanalia, The crazed women would drink a bunch of wine and literally rip this person to pieces based on what's between their legs, because that's what they did. We know this because of historic texts. So, instead of a bunch of knuckleheads in California dropping acid and saying, hey, we should make this religion, man. We'll have feminine power and masculine power and the two powers. Yeah, I know. I actually still own that damn blue book somewhere around here, Wiccanism and all that. Jeez. I also know how to do horoscopes too. Guess what? I don't believe in that crap either. Like the stars affect you, I've always found that amazing. These people would be like, I can't believe you believe God can affect things, and then go home and read their horoscope, or I can't believe you believe in an imaginary man in the sky. Let me go sit with my power crystals. This is terrible. And they all happen to be on the left. And I don't understand that. As a person who was a Democrat my whole damn life, I don't remember ever being told when I was a kid, hey, in order to be a Democrat, you have to reject Christianity. Right? In order to be a Democrat, you have to crawl on your belly because you happen to have been born away, and the way you happen to be born is not, whatever is favored now, because I'm a straight white Christian of predominantly Anglo-Saxon, Welsh, Irish, and Russian heritage. I should be made to feel bad about something. Slavery? I'm sorry. I mean, at this point, I'm getting so aggravated about hearing about slavery that I kind of want to say, hey, man, you get what you deserve, maybe. That's callous to say, but what am I supposed to do? Cry about it all day? I'm supposed to hate my country, even though I served in Iraq? I'm supposed to hate my God because my God has opinions that are, I wouldn't say opinions, but laws that run counter to the progressive agenda you're wanting to push. And hello, whoever's watching. It's no longer enough to tolerate for a Christian in America, in the West. I mean, the East, Poland and the East, Russia, they're strong. These progressives show up and they try and say something, and the church tells them to get bent and take it to their own house, and no one wants to hear it. And honestly, I'm starting to think maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe keep your sexuality off the streets. Maybe no one needs to see your assless chaps and your glitter parade down Main Street with a bunch of kids sitting on a sidewalk, waving you on. In a sane society, that would be considered child abuse, right? Sexualizing children that are 10, telling them that certain types of sex are awesome or not. I mean, should really be telling kids that young either? I know I did. I raised two. I didn't tell them anything when they were young. I let them be kids. I let them play with mud pies and run around and do whatever. I'm kind of ranting. I apologize. It's just when you watch somebody you kind of respect just submit so hard. It's like, man, you're a man. Be a man. Be about it. Don't let people talk smack to you, Don't let anyone tell you you're evil. This whole I have to apologize because my ancestors or the tribes my ancestors came from were more powerful than the tribes your ancestors came from. So now I have to feel bad. Really? I have to feel bad because the Kievan Rus, conquered Russia? I have to feel bad because the Welsh, Anglo-Saxon, and Irish under the British Empire conquered half of the world? I'm supposed to feel bad? Maybe if you got conquered, you should feel bad. Maybe up your game. Get on my level. Right? It's not my fault. It's not my fault that your tribes were not as powerful as my tribes were 1,000 years ago. Only a lunatic would even entertain this idea. As a matter of fact, I mean, if you think about it, have you ever heard a Mongolian apologize for being Mongolian? Didn't they wipe out like 10% of the population of the planet? They had the largest land empire the world has ever known. And what did they do? They built a giant ass statue of Genghis Khan right in the capital of their capital city. A massive statue of Genghis Khan. And you know what? I high five them. I high five those Mongolians. Don't be ashamed of your culture. Don't be ashamed of your people. Don't be ashamed that you like girls or boys or whatever you like. Hurts my head, man. When I see this, I'm just like, this can't be right. You know, we've never heard of Arab apologize for taking out Eastern Rome. Have you ever heard a Turk ever say, hey, you know, that Hagia Sophia that we conquered back in, 1400 or whatever it was, 1500? Sorry about that. We're really sorry that our armies were stronger than yours. My bad. Sorry. Maybe the Poles should apologize to the Turks. Hey, remember that charge outside the gates of Vienna when we crushed your army and drove you out of Europe? Sorry. Our bad. We should let you just conquer all of Europe because, that's apparently what we were expected to do. Sorry we paid money and iron and worked goods to slavers on the Ivory Coast to buy slaves from them, which were already slaves. And people will make all these arguments about, well, it was a different kind of slavery, blah, blah, blah. And why am I apologizing for it? It's the British and Portuguese that brought the slaves over and the French. Americans didn't do that. And then the British did everything they could to end the slave trade. So high five to the UK, man. You figured it out. You tried to stop it. And then, what was it? 500,000 white boys went out in the middle of the frickin' cold whatever and killed each other to settle this. I don't see anyone building statues to Union soldiers all over the place. And maybe they should. Maybe there should be a statue of a Union soldier on every corner of every like Martin Luther King Drive should have a statue of a Yankee soldier right there to remind all of these people who are so pissed off about slavery that it was white northern men, some of whom I am descended of, who died and killed so that you could be free. Because you didn't free yourselves. That's a hurtful thing to say, but it didn't happen. So now I'm supposed to feel bad because my ancestors died so that you could be free here. Because my ancestors go back to the 1760s in this country. Just when I see men, not just men, women too, just bowing down to this lunacy, oh, we're sorry. What do you got to be sorry for? What do you have to be sorry for? The only thing you have to do is get up and go to work every day. Pay your taxes. That's all you have to do. And every time you apologize to one of these people, you just encourage them. You're reinforcing bad behavior. You apologize, you're like, oh, I'm sorry for slavery. Like, it's not your fault. But now they're like, oh, he apologized. So now you have accepted guilt. You have accepted guilt for something you didn't do. And now you're going to cry like these people on that video getting down on their knees and kissing that black guy's feet. Just oh. No. And I know this channel is 99% of the time about games and D&D and having a good time. And I'm only even doing this. I may not even post this. I might just be ranting to myself. I'm looking at my beautiful bearded face, playing with my hair. I need to get a haircut, start to look like a hippie. Right? Got my badass Adidas tracksuit on because it's in my blood. It's in my blood. I'm watching these guys just bow down. It's like Sansel. What are you sorry for, man? You're a good guy. You never did anything wrong. As far as you know, your people never did anything wrong. I mean, sure, Leopold did some shit in the Congo, but you're not to blame for that. It's not your fault. It's not like sin is genetic, unless they believe it is, somebody sometime did something bad. Now everyone related to him is guilty. It's a good thing we don't use that judgment for them. I mean, if all white people are guilty of slavery and evil, then does that mean all Central Americans should be treated bad because their ancestors used to eat people and rip their hearts out on top of pyramids? I mean, obviously speaking of the Aztecs. I mean, I'm sure other tribes were better or worse, maybe. I mean, history is a bloody thing, full of terrible things. Should the Mexicali, the Mexicans, be apologizing to all the tribes that they wiped out? Which they did. Just never surrender. Never let anyone make you ashamed to be you. Whoever you are. And this whole thing and I'll get back and make this somewhat related to Warhammer. This idea, now I live in a metro city with a population of almost 3 million, right? Not the city itself, but the metro area. And that's not even counting the outskirts. And that's not even near the biggest city in the state. I've yet to see a white supremacist anywhere at a game convention playing 40K or any other war game. Ever. Ever. I've never seen it. Unless I am it, and I don't think I am. I mean, when I used to play Flames of War, my Flames of War buddy that played the German army, because I played Russians and Americans mostly, and Germans, and everyone, because that's what I do. He was Jewish. Show up to the game table with his German army and his big Star David hanging out front, The most conservative people I know are a couple of friends of mine that are Puerto Rican. Well, one's Dominican, but, Hispanic. Not that they're all the same. But I guess the point is, you always have this person writing this horror story. I'm a girl and I wanted to play D&D and the boys wouldn't let me. Or I'm trans, or I'm this, or I'm that, and I wanted to play a game and they wouldn't let me because they're all mean old misogynist white. You know what? Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on it. If you don't show me a camera, if I ain't got pictures, if I'm not standing there watching, I don't believe you because you're trying to leverage oppression into power. So I'm calling bullshit. I don't believe any of you anymore. And if you are a conservative leaning person and you watch this thing, when you talk to these leftists, just understand that they're full of shit. It's all bullshit. They don't even believe their own lies. This has nothing to do with equality. This has nothing to do with making the game better, the community better. This has nothing to do with that. It's power. It's like in D&D when they're arguing that only Asians should be allowed to work on the Oriental Adventure books. Because, and I've said this before, because a 15-year-old Asian kid, or no, let's say a 25-year-old Asian kid who's from Laos, let's say, and grew up in San Francisco, knows more about feudal Japanese culture than a white guy that happened to go to college for the subject. Is that what we're saying? Knowledge of these different things is somehow carried in the blood, And if that's the case, then why are there minority people working on European fantasy? Shouldn't everyone who works on European fantasy settings be white and from Europe? Specifically Ireland, because that's where most of them are based, even though mine is based on Western Slavs, my personal one. But you get the point. I mean, the Forgotten Realms is 100% a ripoff of Irish myth. So only Irish people should be able to work on it from now on, unless they're working on Chult. Then I guess or Al Qadim, right? Is that what we're doing? We're gonna what's it called? I forget the even word. We're just going to separate everyone by ethnicity, and people can only do certain things and go to certain bathrooms and date certain people based on their ethnicity. That's the new left, right? That's new progressive cause. But what it really is it's a way to leverage people who do not merit a job into a job based on their race. So we're going to hire a black trans wheelchair person to work at Wizards of the Coast, even though their game creativity stuff might be no better than what you see on your average blog or Twitter page, but they're the right race to be this thing. So we're going to hire them. And people are like, well, that's inclusivity. Well, it's not inclusive to the guy that, or I said guy, but I mean that is a general term. It's not inclusive to the person who actually would have been better at the job who didn't get the job because they weren't the right demographic, color, whatever. It's pretty exclusive to them, isn't it? Anyway, God bless America. Never surrender.